Midnight. The Volga River. You are 19 years old. The boat rocks under you, packed with 40 men and no room to sit. Somewhere on the far bank, Stalingrad is burning. You can see it from here, orange light crawling up into black smoke, like the city itself is breathing. You have a rifle. The man beside you doesn't. He leans close. If you fall, he says quietly, "I take that." You don't answer. Above you, an engine drones somewhere in the dark, then a whistle, thin and rising. Then the world goes white. 6 hours earlier, you didn't know any of this was coming. You were a farmer's son from a village near Kazan, a place with one road and one church, and a river you used to fish as a boy. 12 hours ago, an officer read your name off a list in the village square, and by evening you were on a train heading south, still wearing your father's old coat because no uniform had reached you yet. In your pocket is a letter, half written to your mother. You started it 3 times. You still don't know what to say to a woman who already lost one son to this war. Beside you on the train sits Pavel, older, steadier, already a soldier for a year. He's the kind of man who makes jokes when nobody else can find the words. He shares his bread with you without being asked, and somehow that small thing makes the train feel less like a box carrying you toward something you can't see. You have a private fear, one you haven't told anyone, not even Pavel. It isn't dying, exactly. It's freezing, going stiff and useless when the moment finally comes. The way you've heard some men do. The way you pray you won't. The train stops short of the city. The tracks torn up further on. From here you walk, then wait for hours in a field thick with other conscripts, then finally board the boats at the river's edge. An officer stands at the bank, watching the men load. Behind him, further back, other soldiers stand in a loose line, not moving toward the water, not helping, just watching everyone. You ask Pavel who they are. He doesn't smile this time. "Don't ask," he says. "Just don't turn around." You step onto the boat. The letter is still in your pocket, still unfinished, still folded around everything you can't say. The engines start. By the time the sun rises, you are already inside the city, what's left of it. Stalingrad isn't a city anymore. It's rubble stacked on rubble, walls standing with no buildings behind them, streets that end in craters where intersections used to be. Somewhere close, gunfire cracks, then stops, like punctuation in a sentence you can't read yet. You're given a position in a half-collapsed building near a factory complex, its smokestacks broken like snapped bones against the sky. Your commander is a sergeant with a bandaged hand and no patience for questions. He tells you where to stand, where to point your rifle, and what to do if anything moves toward you. He doesn't tell you what to do with the fear. You suppose you're meant to already know. There aren't enough rifles to go around. You'd heard about this on the train, dismissed it as rumor, the kind of story that grows in the telling. Now you understand it isn't rumor. The man to your left has no weapon at all. He was told plainly, without cruelty, to wait for one of you to fall so he could pick it up. Nobody says it unkindly. It's simply how the arithmetic works here. In a city eating men faster than rifles can be found for them. Midday brings a strange, fragile quiet. You eat cold bread and share water from a dented canteen passed hand to hand down the line. Pavel somehow is 2 positions down from you. He found you again in the chaos of the crossing, like he'd been looking the whole time and refused to stop. "Still writing that letter?" he asks, nodding at the pocket where you keep it. You laugh, and it surprises you that you still can, here in this. For a few minutes it feels almost normal. Men talking in low voices, men breathing, a ruined city holding its breath around all of you. waiting for something none of you can name yet. Pavel tells you about his own family, a wife, a daughter he's seen only twice since she was born. He says it plainly, the way men do when they've learned not to dwell on things too long. You realize, listening to him, that everyone here is carrying an unfinished letter of some kind. Then, in the distance, you hear engines. Aircraft, low and growing. Pavel's smile fades. "Get low," he says. "It's starting again." The bombing begins at 2 in the afternoon. Not far off. Close. Buildings shake. Dust falls in sheets from what's left of the ceiling above you, coating your hands, your rifle, the letter still folded in your pocket. You press into the wall. Somewhere, a man is screaming for a medic. You don't know if he's from your unit or another. In this city, that distinction stops mattering fast. The sergeant orders you forward toward the factory, toward the sound of the fighting instead of away from it. You move because you're told to move. Your legs work. Your private fear, the freezing, doesn't come. Not yet. You almost don't trust it. Smoke fills the street in front of you, gray and low, swallowing the daylight. You lose sight of Pavel somewhere in it. Ahead, muzzle flashes cut through the haze, shapes moving through rubble and broken beams. German soldiers, close enough now that you can hear voices, not just gunfire. Someone beside you falls. You don't look to see who it was. You can't afford to yet. The sergeant shouts one word, again and again, hoarse and relentless. Forward. Forward. Behind you, through the smoke, you glimpse them again, the men from the riverbank. The ones who don't advance and don't retreat. Just watch and wait and remember Order 227 for you, in case you forget it yourself. You understand now fully what they're there for. There is no direction left to run except one. You raise your rifle. The fighting inside the factory walls doesn't last long, but it doesn't feel short either. Time changes shape in moments like this. A minute stretches into something without edges, something you can't measure the normal way. You fire when the sergeant fires. You move when the man beside you moves. Thought falls away, and something older and simpler takes over in its place. A German soldier appears in a doorway ahead, no older than you are, mud and exhaustion on his face in equal measure. You both hesitate half a second, maybe less. Two 19-year-olds recognizing something in each other that neither wants to name. Then, it's over. You don't remember deciding anything. Your body acted the way water finds the lowest point, without needing to think about it at all. Smoke clears in patches, drifting up through broken beams. The gunfire slows, then stops. Somewhere close, a wounded man moans low and steady, like a held note that won't resolve. You check yourself, arms, legs, chest, whole, alive. You almost don't believe it. You search the faces of the men still standing for Pavel. He isn't there. You ask the man beside you, the one who'd been waiting for a rifle, who now has one, taken without either of you speaking about it. He shakes his head. He hasn't seen him either. Word comes down the line. Hold this position, dig in, wait for further orders. The sergeant, still bleeding through his bandaged hand, nods once and sits against a broken wall, like the effort of standing upright has finally caught up with him all at once. You sit too. Your hands are shaking now, only now, after it's already finished, when there's nothing left to do but feel it. The letter in your pocket is still there, still unfinished, dusted gray now with plaster and stone. Somehow that small detail undoes you more than anything else today has managed to. You don't cry. You just breathe. In-out proof, simple and complete, that you still can. That night, you finish the letter by candlelight, hands steadier now than they were an hour before. I made it through my first day, you write. I don't know how many more there will be, but I'm still here, and I think of you. You never learn Pavel's fate, for certain only that he isn't found among the wounded gathered that evening, and no one saw him fall in the smoke. In a city like this, that silence becomes its own kind of answer, one you carry without ever fully confirming it, the way so many men here learn to carry things. The man beside you, the one without a rifle at dawn, has one now. He doesn't say where it came from, neither do you ask. Some questions don't get asked here anymore. Your private fear the freezing never came, not today. You don't know yet if it will tomorrow, or the day after, or the day after that. You suspect you won't know until it happens, one way or the other. The letter goes into a mailbag at first light, folded in among hundreds like it, each one carrying a version of the same unfinished sentence. Some will reach home, some never will. You don't know which kind yours is yet. You only know you're still standing in the ruins of Stalingrad, one more day survived, one more day waiting just ahead of you. You were one soldier, in one boat, on one river among millions who crossed just like you that autumn into that city, carrying letters that may or may not have arrived. Across those same ruins, on the other side of the rubble, another soldier is finishing his own first day, wearing a different uniform, carrying his own unfinished letter home, hoping for the same thing you are. Tomorrow, you'll live his.